We are a preschool through 8th grade Catholic school and have the great honor of serving children from a number of language backgrounds. We have great families that we view as partners. Most of our families speak Spanish and live close to the school. We have a community of dedicated teachers and staff who care deeply about their students and their families. Well, despite lots of care and hard work by our teachers, we were not seeing the reading growth that we knew our students were capable of. When we first started the work in kindergarten through 3rd grade, only about 25 to 30% of our students reached their key reading benchmarks.
I was working hard. Every teacher in this building was working hard. Every student in this school was working hard, and we just weren't seeing the outcome.
That was simply not acceptable to us. I knew that change was possible, but that we needed help to do so. We realized that we needed to focus on preventing reading concerns with a comprehensive approach that met the needs of all of our students. The best way to take care of a reading problem is to prevent it. So we began our Science of Reading journey in preschool.
How many parts do you have in your name, Samantha? Soup.
Our preschool teachers and I went through professional development with Mount St. Joseph University and implemented an MTSS model in preschool. We adopted a universal screener and database decision-making to understand the needs of our students. And then we implemented a new curriculum that focused on language, content knowledge, and early literacy skills. The curriculum also had embedded instruction for students who needed additional support and also a family literacy component. This was really big work for us to do, and it was also extremely rewarding work that significantly improved our preschoolers' early literacy outcomes. Our other teachers saw what was happening in preschool, and they too wanted to do this work. Our kindergarten through 3rd grade work started by going through a collaborative problem-solving planning process.
We used a tool called the LAP-G, and that LAP-G tool helped us to really take a good hard look at our instruction, at our core instruction. And we met grades kindergarten to 3, and we analyzed how are we doing in terms of our core instruction.
We first adopted universal screening and database decision-making to understand the needs of our students. And then our staff also began a professional learning series focused on understanding the science of reading and MTSS.
Before we started, I never had really heard of the science of reading. I feel like I had learned more like whole language, more putting kids in groups by their level and things like that.
All of our kindergarten through 3rd grade staff members went through the training together. This included classroom teachers, assistants, special educators, specialists, and me. This was really key. We could not change our instruction without the knowledge we gained through the professional learning series. We realized our core instruction needed to change dramatically and that we didn't have the systems in place to support our students who needed more. So then we began by building our Tier 1 and Tier 2 supports. Our Tier 1 core instruction consists of 3 key components: language comprehension, writing, and integrated phonics and spelling. These components are easiest to describe independently, but they all overlap, and all skills are reinforced throughout the day. We searched but could not find one curriculum that taught all of these components aligned to the science of reading. So with the support of a reading consultant, we integrated a few research-based programs. For the language comprehension component, we explicitly and systematically teach background knowledge, oral language skills, and vocabulary. We do this using content-rich themes. Instruction includes teacher-led direct instruction to build knowledge, structured read-alouds using engaging texts with explicit vocabulary and comprehension work, and books that students are reading, follow-up projects, experiments, and activities. And then our writing instructional component connects directly to the language comprehension work. We integrate writing and comprehension instruction, and we engage in explicit instruction on how to create writing pieces. We also have a block of time to explicitly teach basic writing skills.
This whole Project Learn curriculum that we have started with tying in the social studies and science has helped tremendously.
We are actually covering far more science and social studies content than we ever have before. Our families have actually commented on how much new knowledge our students are sharing with them at home. The students are always wanting to share about what they're learning because they're engaged and excited about the topics and the themes. The third component is the integrated teaching of phonemic awareness, phonics fluency, and spelling skills. While the first two components are done in whole group, we have found that this component is most effectively done in small, differentiated, skill-based groups with additional support for students not at grade level. We give a brief phonics inventory to all students to understand their skills. And then based on this data and our universal screening data, we place students in reading groups where they can work on the skills they need. Students at and above grade level are in the largest group, and students below grade level are in smaller groups. Groupings are reviewed in our monthly data-based decision-making meetings and are adjusted based on their progress.
It's all hands on deck during reading time. During that time, the teacher will work with the group, a reading specialist has a group, our ESL teacher has a group, and then children move through centers. That the centers incorporate writing, the centers incorporate reading, and the students move in different centers while the teacher's working.
We also have 1 to 2 independent centers that are carefully constructed to provide students with meaningful activities when they're not being guided by a teacher.
So Tier 2 works when we look at our data. So we look at the students and we see which children need more, so they get what we call a double scoop.
Any student below benchmark receives a second scoop of their small group instruction every day.
But it needs to be targeted. So that's what makes the small groups work so well, is that the instruction is targeted to their specific skill gaps.
Once a month, our data-based decision-making team meets with each classroom teacher to review each student's progress in that grade level and discuss needs.
And when we meet in our meetings, we look to see who can move in, who needs to move out, and we really look at that data that we gather from our weekly checks.
Looking at it as a group, I have found that to be really helpful because now we're working as a team and we get to see from the other teachers who are also working with those students.
For students who are not making adequate progress, we build a team around the child and begin our Tier 3 individual collaborative problem-solving process. Our students' families are involved in every tier of instruction and are an important part of the Tier 3 process. This process helps us build an individualized plan to intensify instruction to support the child's literacy growth. The plan often includes more individualized instruction and more intentional practice of needed skills. The first piece of advice I would give a school beginning this work is to remember that implementing this type of change is a process. It cannot all be done at once. Use a tool like the LAP-G to help identify the areas of your program that need improvement, and then pick one area to begin improving. This will help you be able to implement each piece of the process well, instead of overwhelming teachers and systems with trying to change everything all at once. Keep in mind that doing this work is not about purchasing a magic program. Provide your teachers with the professional development and training that will allow them to make instructional decisions that are supported by the science, and then focus on making sure they have the resources that they need to do so. And lastly, remember that the work will pay off. As you implement these changes, you will see your students' ability to read progress. And with that, you'll see their confidence and enthusiasm for reading flourish, and that is truly a feeling that makes all of the work worth it.
I feel like I've gotten to be more explicit and more systematic in the teaching of probably everything.
One of my second graders last year came up to me and he said, "Mrs. Fry, learning to read has changed my life." You know, that's powerful words from a second grader.